Hello, and thank you for joining me for this packet orientation video. You are going to be onboarded as a classified employee and also as a classified substitute. You should have received your purple packet. You should have received your live scan form after paying your $49 fee. And you should have already made an appointment for a physical.
All right, so the first thing I would like to address is that this offer of employment is contingent on completing all pre-employment requirements and also going through board approval, which is a very standard procedure. So right now I would like you to open your folder and take out your classified employee hiring packet. Okay, so this is the first page of that packet, and this is your to-do list. Each step is part of the onboarding process. So step number 1, you will need to have your fingerprints processed. Number 2, you'll be attending a scheduled physical in Bakersfield. You'll also be getting a TB assessment. Step 3, you'll be completing some online training modules. Step number 4, we talk about you returning all of your paperwork. That's all completed, your entire new hire packet, and those other items listed there. We will talk about those further. Step number 5 is obtaining a badge. And then step number 6 is receiving a schedule with required training.
Okay, so as a classified substitute, we do have a specific requirement in order to stay active. Each substitute must work at least 3 positions per month in order to remain an active substitute. Now, this is audited regularly, and you will be notified if you're not meeting this requirement. But please be sure to contact the personnel department if for some reason you are unable to meet this requirement.
Next, we're going to move on to the substitute choice form. So you have already received this form and should have returned it to me, filled out completely. Please keep in mind that we are simply qualifying you for the positions that you are interested in. Just because you select the position doesn't mean you absolutely have to work it, but we want to make sure we get through all of the prerequisites so you have as many positions available to work as possible. All right, and some of these positions do require additional training, such as CPR, first aid training, medication and health needs, and even ABA training. Those training sessions will be provided to you by the district, and that information will be given to you after the onboarding process is complete. But at this point, I would like to go through each position and explain that a little further. All right, so the admin clerk and school secretary positions are working mainly at the front desk of each school site or even at the front desk here at the district office. The admin clerk position requires a typing certificate of 35 words per minute or more, and the school secretary requires that certificate of 50 words per minute or more. Now, you can obtain these certificates anywhere online that offers a 5-minute test. All right, so next we have after school para and daycare aide. So these positions work in the before and after school programs. They're very hands-on. It's a lot of fun doing a lot of activities with the kids. So this SPED position is particular with autism, mod severe, and direct access aids or ASKIA. So this would require that you complete 40 hours of ABA training, which is done on your own time. And if you do choose to do this position, then you will receive a link to complete the ABA training. So a bilingual para, the requirement is just completing a proficiency test. So if you are proficient in Spanish, we'll go ahead and schedule that for you. As a cafeteria worker, you'd be working in the cafeteria in a very fast-paced environment, a lot of heavy lifting. As a campus supervisor, you'd be working at the middle school and the high school, supervising kiddos during break and lunch. Please be aware that this position can involve in breaking up fights with the children. As a crossing guard, that is before and after school, helping the kiddos across the streets. As a custodian, of course, that's cleaning classrooms, cleaning the school sites. It is a lot of heavy lifting and a lot of walking. A groundskeeper would be that you have experience with heavy equipment such as lawnmowers, weed eaters, things like that. And it's also a lot of heavy lifting. As an instructional paraprofessional, you would be working in the classroom with the teacher, helping the kids with assessments, maybe with their work during instruction time, and maybe even grading tests. A noon supervisor is supervising the kiddos at the elementary levels during recess and lunch. Okay, so as a PE paraprofessional, you'll be working directly with a teacher during the PE class. So, a special education paraprofessional would be working in the special needs classrooms. This does require additional training such as CPR, medication, and health needs. Please be aware that this could involve helping with changing feeding tubes, maybe even diapering and toileting. As a transportation aide, you would be primarily helping the special needs kiddos on and off the buses and the vans. As a school site specialist, this would be where you can do anything, wherever you're needed. Maybe one moment you need to help in one of the teachers' classrooms. Maybe the next you'll need to go to the cafeteria and help clean tables. All right, so we'll move on to the live scan form, which you would have received when you picked up your new hire packet. Okay, so this form will be brought to the UPS store located on West Valley Boulevard. We do prefer if you go to that location. They do charge a $25 fee to process your fingerprints, and you will fill out the applicant information portion, which is between these two arrows right here. And we'll also need to make sure that this bottom portion of the form is clear when they make you a copy. Please make sure to retain that copy because you will be returning it with the rest of your paperwork. Okay, so we're going to talk about step number 2, which is attending your scheduled physical. So you should have already received information about this physical. Should have already received your appointment, but we'll be going over all of this information in the next step. Okay, so open up your purple packet and take out the pre-employment physical information packet, and we'll be going over all of this information inside. All right, so we should have already briefly discussed information about your physical, but you'll be visiting 2 different offices, both on the same day. The first being Universal Occupational Medicine, where you will be doing a medical examination and your TB assessment. Please be aware that the TB assessment does cost $20. Soon as you're done with that office, you'll be sent straight over to Functional Ergonomics. That's where you'll be bending, twisting, lifting heavy boxes, things of those sorts. Okay, so step number 3 is completing some online training modules, and I will go over that information with you. Okay, so all district employees are required to complete 9 Get Safety Train modules. These SIS modules are found at getsafetytrain.com. You'll need to create an account using your personal email address and complete these 9 modules as a new hire. And please be aware that these modules need to be completed every school year. So before every new school year, you'll receive information that those modules need to be completed to continue your employment. All right, so what you're going to do when you go to getsafetytrain.com is you're going to click this login button to create your account. All right, you can register right here, and you will be using your own personal email address. And please be sure you complete all of these 9 modules by the time that you return your paperwork. Okay, so now we're going to talk about step 4, which is returning all of your completed paperwork to the personnel department.
Okay, so in this portion, we're going to be talking about the intake paperwork packet. So go ahead and open your folder and take out this intake paperwork packet. It does say, please return these intake papers to the personnel department.
All right, so first I'd like to point out the direct deposit form. So direct deposit is completely optional. If you do not enroll, you'll just be receiving a paper check. But if you do want to enroll, then please attach a voided check where it does indicate. However, if you're unable to provide a check, I know a lot of people don't have checks anymore. You can go to your bank and get your direct deposit information printed on bank letterhead, and we can accept that in place of this entire form. Unfortunately, we cannot accept any handwritten information. You're unable to just write your routing number and account information on this form. It does have to come directly from your bank. All right, so next portion of the paperwork I want to talk about is the CalPERS portion. There's 3 separate forms you'll need to fill out because we do need to know if you've ever been a member of CalPERS before or a different retirement system. So you have probably been a member of CalPERS if you've ever worked for another school district or any county, state, city employment, such as working out at the prison. All right. So the first form I'd like to share is this reciprocal self-certification form. This form will need to be completed whether or not you've been a member of CalPERS before. So if you have not, you'll just be filling out this circled portion here, and of course your member information here. If you have been a member of CalPERS or a different retirement system, you'll be filling out the entire form. Right. The second form is the retirement status information. You will be filling out this entire form as well. This top portion, we're asking if you've ever been a teacher before. So we need to know if you've ever been a member of CalSTRS. Most of the time, this is going to all be no. The second portion is referring to CalPERS, if you've been a member of CalPERS before. So please be sure to fill out those forms entirely. The third form is actually the first form found within this portion of the intake paperwork. It does say retired CalPERS members, and that's a very straightforward form asking if you've been retired from CalPERS. All right, so the last page I want to point out in the intake paperwork packet is the pre-designation of personal physician form. It is the last form in the intake paperwork packet. So this form is only applicable to workers' comp. So what happens if you're injured on the job, we normally send you down to a doctor of our choosing in Bakersfield. However, you do have the right to be seen by your own physician in this case. However, the physician must sign the form, but a lot of physicians will not deal with workers' comp, just so you're aware. So if you're okay that if you're injured on the job and you're okay with going to a doctor of our choosing, you'll just write decline on the top right portion of the form, you'll initial it, and then you'll date it. Okay, so going back to step 4, we just talked about what you would need to do to return your intake paperwork. When you do come in to return all of your paperwork, I need you to bring in your entire hiring packet. That's in your entire purple packet with everything that you've been given by the UPS store and during your physical appointment. We'll also need you to bring in your driver's license and social security card. And then momentarily, we'll be talking about the other 2 items as well. All right. So these documents must be current, whether it be your driver's license or your state issue ID. They must be the original documents. We're unable to accept any copies. And your names must match on both documents. That is very, very important. So if you need to obtain a new social security card, an ID, anything like that, please get that started as soon as possible because we do not want to delay your employment just because we're waiting on the Social Security Department. All right, so just as an example, It shows here both names match on each document. And again, I can't stress enough how important that is. All right, so next I want to talk about your appointment to return all of your paperwork. So as soon as you have completed this video, you will need to contact me in order to schedule your appointment to return your paperwork. It is very, very important, though, that you contact me no later than 2 days from receiving the link to this video. So you would have received an email from me with the link to this video. I do expect you to contact me no later than 2 days after receiving that email. Unfortunately, if I do not hear from you within that 2 days to schedule your appointment to return your paperwork, it will be assumed that you're no longer interested in this position and this offer of employment will be rescinded. So again, you can contact me, Colleen Kazare, at this email address here, and this is my direct line. Okay, so we're going to return to step number 4, and we're going to talk about the employment verification letter and the official transcripts and why we might need those from you. So we also ask for official transcripts because as a classified employee, you are given the opportunity for professional growth. So that professional growth is extra pay or an extra stipend that is calculated yearly, but it's based on the total of number of units you've obtained so far that particularly pertain to your position. So if this applies to you, make sure you get your official transcripts. They must be official copies, and you'll send them to me. Again, these documents are due no later than 2 weeks from your hire date as well. So this is an example of an unofficial transcript. As you can see, it has that unofficial watermark, and all of them will say unofficial on them. This cannot be accepted, unfortunately. We have to have official transcripts. They look like this. They have this different watermark, and they will usually say somewhere on there that they are official transcripts. This is what we can accept to see if you qualify for this extra stipend. So again, like I mentioned, this stipend is calculated yearly. So if you're continuing your education, please be sure to obtain your official transcripts and send them to the personnel department during the time that this open enrollment period for professional growth is open. All right. So we're going to talk about employment verification. So if you want to be considered to start at a higher rate of pay, you will need to provide an employment verification letter from your previous employer. Also, it can come from several different previous employers. So this letter must contain or be on the company or organization's letterhead, and this here is an example of that. It must state your exact title. It must state your start and end dates of employment. It must state either if you were full-time or part-time. And if possible, please provide a job description. So please keep in mind that this employment verification letter is due no later than 2 weeks from your official hire date. Okay, so step number 5 comes after you have returned all of your paperwork, you brought your driver's license, your social security card, and you're basically all cleared to start your new position. So on that day that you turn your paperwork in, hopefully we'll be ready for you to go ahead and take your picture and get you your new badge right then and there. Please keep in mind that if that is the case, please be ready to take a picture on the day that you return your paperwork. All right, and that leads us to step number 6. Also, when you return your paperwork, if you are all cleared to start, you will be getting a training schedule. So you will be receiving a schedule to attend medication and health needs training, and as well as CPR training. You may even need to attend a SPED para orientation session. You will also be receiving paperwork on how to complete your RBT training that satisfies the ABA requirements for the autism specialist, SKIA, Mod Severe paraeducator position. So now we're going to talk about the required training and orientation sessions you will more than likely have to attend. So several positions require CPR and first aid, medication and health needs training, and also a brief special education paraprofessional orientation. So once you have completed the onboarding process, you will be given this training schedule, which will have the specific dates for each training and orientation session. You must attend these training sessions in order to retain your position with Tehachapi Unified. That is imperative. Also, I just want to point out that the medication and health needs training requires that you watch this video. The link is provided on your training schedule before you attend the in-person training session. So next, we're going to talk about the training requirements for the autism specialist mod severe SKIA paraprofessional position. So this position requires you to complete 40 hours of RBT training. This training will be completed on your own, or you must be ABA certified. You also will need to complete CPI training. So you will receive this paper here with all the information on how to complete each of these trainings. The CPI training, you will need to contact Heather Ringel and the Special Education Department. And then for the RBT training, you will need to go to the Autism Partnership Foundation website, create an account, and complete the training. So once you've completed the RBT training, you must submit your certification to the personnel department in order to qualify for this position. So this certification is due no later than 45 days from your original hire date. And then when you complete CPI training as well, you will also notify the personnel department of the completion. So here is an example of what the RBT training website looks like. When you click on the link, it will bring you to this website where you create your account. And here is the website if need be, but the link will also be on the page that you're given for your training. Okay, so I do just want to mention that more than likely you are an 11-month employee, which means you do follow the student attendance calendar as your work calendar. You can find that information under our personnel department at our TehachapiUSD.com website. So you will see the work calendars listed here, and the student attendance day employees is listed right here. Now, please note that if you are in a different classification that doesn't follow this work calendar, you can find the calendar here. For example, 12-month employees, their work calendar is right here. So I also want you to know that this also means if you're an 11-month employee that you do not work during the summer, which also means you don't receive a paycheck in July. However, we have plenty of opportunities for summer school. So when those opportunities come up, please be sure to apply, but they are based on seniority. Lastly, I want to let you know that all district employees are paid monthly. Permanent employees are paid on the last business day of each month. And now for any substitute work or any extra duty work, those paychecks are received on the 10th. Okay, so if you're an employee who works at least 20 hours or more, you will qualify for health insurance, vision, dental, and you'll also automatically be enrolled in the CalPERS retirement system. So unfortunately, if you don't work 20 hours per week, you won't qualify for these benefits, but you are able to obtain an additional position or even a different position to meet that 20-hour requirement. So you would have received a benefits package as well. Please be aware that these packets, are due no later than 30 days from your original hire date, and you can direct any questions to Carrie Austin, who is the secretary in the business department, and her contact information is listed. Okay. So I do want to let you all know that as a new Tehachapi Unified School District employee, you will be placed on a 6-month probationary period. However, for the first 3 months of that period, you will be ineligible to transfer or apply for any other position within the district. We really just need your first evaluation before you are able to either change positions entirely or transfer into the same position at a different site. But if you have more questions about that, please let me know. Also, you are allotted 6 sick days to use during this full 6-month probationary period. But after you pass that probationary period, you will be front loaded all of your sick, personal necessity, and vacation time. All right, so thank you so much for taking the time to go through this packet orientation video with me. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me via email or phone at any time. My business card is in your packet. And please don't forget to contact me at your earliest convenience, really, but no later than 2 days after you've received the email for this video to schedule your return packet appointment. Thank you again and have a great day.